Hey folks, welcome back to Around the Yard. Started splitting here this morning, got I don't know, 6 or 8 pieces through, and I figured I'd do a video on this. Been getting a few questions on the channel about how well this box wedge runs kind of this oddball stuff. So I've done a lot of preaching about the box wedge and how it really likes straight grain, you know, just really nice high quality rounds. The higher the quality round you put here, the higher the quality round that comes out the other end. And since I primarily do bundle wood, it makes the most sense to put nice cylinders through this thing, right? And just keep pushing and get really high quality stuff. It will do these double barrels. Make no mistake about it. The box wedge can do this. It just doesn't get the same quality of output. So think of, if you want bundle grade wood, put in really nice rounds. If you're looking for fireplace wood or bulk sales, you can run anything you want, this stuff included. So this is a really nice, it's probably 16 here on the bottom, maybe 14, with two, that side's probably an 8, and this is maybe a 10 or a 12 coming off that side. I've got another round up here that's about 10 with about a 3-inch knob coming off of it, and then probably an 8 or a 9-inch piece with a couple of 6s. So we're going to run 3 kind of less than desirable rounds with crotches and whatnot on them. I've got an IBC tote behind the camera we'll stack into. I'll try and show you guys a little bit of the difference of what comes out. You guys are familiar with the high quality bundle wood that comes out of here when we're using really good rounds. We'll show you what kind of comes out of here with less than desirable stuff. So basically what you're going to see is full size splits on one side, tapered all the way down to triangles, you know, almost nothing on the far side of 16 inches. You are going to get some squares, some 4x4s out of this. You will get some 2x4s. It just depends on where the wedge hits and what grade of material that is. You do wind up with a fair bit of slash. You're going to wind up with this kind of stuff where it's going to split funny, be different sizes, and that's because the grain's going too many different directions. Once you get to the middle of this thing, you guys know how the grain is kind of going in arcs, right? That doesn't split well. Not through a box wedge, not through anything else, but this box wedge will do it. So like I said, we'll get this thing fired up. It's been warming up, so we're just gonna pull this back into the cradle and get splitting. So I'll show you guys most of the splitting cycles. Probably not a lot of the stacking, since you guys don't care about that generally, but we'll try and show you kind of this first push and show you what kind of pieces come out the first 2 or 3 pushes, and then kind of reset and go from there. So all right, stick with me. that stacked up here in a second. There's a nice 3.5 or 4x4. There's a nice 2x4. But you guys can see how it gets a little furry in here. That's that knot. So we got a pretty good side down here. A little furry, but that's just part of it. So there's kind of a 2x4. That crack will break apart here. We can probably almost pull that apart. But for sure at the end of the drying process, we'll be able to pop that apart. That'll be a nice piece of kindling. Same thing with this. There's a nice 2x4 out of the middle. That was probably on that second push or third push. This is kind of the back of the bottom of the round. So there's your arch right here. Right? This doesn't go through. I mean, this is a big enough piece to go through again, but the way the grain is going, this will just bind up and fold up, and it'll just be a mess. So once I get to this size, it's a little bigger than what we want for bundle wood, but that'll go to my personal burning. Same thing with this. Kind of an ugly piece, but it's pretty flat. So yeah, that's kind of the output. So it'll do it. It just kind of scraps up a little bit. So here's the bark coming off. That's trash. You know, here's little pieces. No, that's really not a good bundle piece of wood. But that's what you get. See, there's that arc again. There's your grain changing direction, right? So your grain's coming up and then it's going this way, right? So not the greatest bundle piece, like I said, but it'll burn. Alright, so there you saw a little bit longer piece come through. Not quite as big of a knot, but we still tore some stuff apart here. So we're still getting those feathers. We're getting a little bit nicer bundle wood, although it's a little long. You know, this stuff, it really isn't, it's good firewood, it's not good bundle wood. So it doesn't make a ton of sense for me to cut this down to 16 inches, you know, to be perfect size for bundle wood, knowing full well that most of it's going to be fireplace wood. So that's why we're not really trimming this. This next one will be kind of fun. It's going about 3 different directions. So we'll show you that in a second. The other thing to keep in mind is with this stuff being irregular, sometimes you get pieces that'll hang down below the beam. and that'll slide underneath here and get cut off on the flat part of the wedge. So there's, I think I've showed you guys this in the past. There's this top plate, there's a bottom plate 4 inches lower, and then there's verticals in here that make up the rest of the wedge. So that bottom plate, if you have something hanging below the beam, winds up getting tore off and pushed down, or it fans out. You guys saw that one piece on that first push get fanned out. It drops between the table and the log lift every time. So you almost gotta sort through your scrap every now and again and make sure that you've got all your good pieces out of your scrap pile. So just something to kind of keep in mind. It, like I said, doesn't happen very often, and certainly not every pass. It's just something that you notice. It's like, oh, that piece opened way up, and when it retracts, it'll either stay up on the table or it'll fall down in between. So you just got to remember to grab that piece when you're picking up. So, but anyhow, I'm gonna get this here stacked up real quick, and then we'll try this one, and then we'll do the clearing. So you still get a fair amount. I mean, that's a nice 2x4, it's just long. Here's a nice piece of kindling, just a little bit long. You know, that's a nice 3.5x4. Again, another great piece of firewood, just a little bit long for bundle wood, that's all. So that's that's probably 17, 18 inches. Here's that piece that fell in between. These are some great little feathers for starting fires, so I do like to include that in bundles. I keep telling you guys that, but there is a reason that I'm not just sloughing all this stuff off onto the ground. Good fire starter. So here's the other problem with irregular stuff. It doesn't roll nice down the log lift. That's another reason to skip it if you can help it. The other thing is, and I didn't do this really on the other ones, is if you can square up the butt of the log with the front of the faceplate, you can see, maybe you guys can't see this, but basically, there we go. All right, so this is square to the back here. This face is growing out and away, okay? This one down here is going left. My left, your right. So when this goes through, it's gonna pick probably left of center and far left of center, and still some of this is gonna go to the outside. So this is gonna be a really chopped up round. It will get forced through straight, but based on the direction it picks, or the knives that it picks to go through, is going to set the tone for what size pieces these are. So let's get this fired up. I'll show you what I mean. didn't stop the machine quite soon enough, but basically you guys should have been able to see the left side of the round, the one that was curving and going this way. It peeled around this to the left. This face was up in the other direction. That's exactly how it mushroomed and fanned out here. So the lower piece went to the left, the upper side went to the right, and it even started to open up here. When I finish this stroke, I should be able to pull this off the top. The faceplate and the box wedge come in close enough contact, about a half an inch or so. There's a previous video about that, of how close it gets, but I should be able to pull this off, no problem. Like I said, we just stopped it here prematurely. But I should bring you around to the back side here. There's a knot of stuff kind of built up, and this is inherent of the type of round that we're running through. So there we go. So all of this debris down here, turn the camera, there we go. All of this debris down here is going all kinds of different directions. It's wedged in here. Not going to be able to move it without aid of another piece of wood to feed it through. Trying to break that off. There we go. So that's kind of the fan of the other one. It was in there this way and fanned out to the left. This is what happens when you have less than desirable wood going through. If it's got knots and different things, you're almost guaranteed to have this kind of a mess. And all that is creating a whole bunch of trash. It's not producing good firewood. It's not even producing kindling at this point. It's just trash. So that's why I don't run double barrels. That's why I don't run stuff with lots of branches on it. It's okay. Like that little guy there, that's on like a 6 or 7 inch piece of wood. This machine's not going to notice that that's there. It will notice on something that's like 10 inch with a 6 inch knot on it. You don't get this all the time, but when you do, you're just creating more trash for yourself and less usable wood. So you wind up with mulch. That's all I'm trying to get to, guys. So there's my mulch pile. We're not quite to the, we got probably 8-10 inches there before we get to the bottom of the beam. Now, let's see, there's the post. There's probably 8 inches from here to the bottom of the beam, 8 over here to the bottom of the sorting table at least, maybe 10. There's a good bucket worth of debris here, but we've split probably a couple cords through this, and it hasn't been the best wood. A lot of this was actually oak, so a lot of these pieces are oak here at the very bottom, and it's a lot of bark. So that's the other thing. You guys don't realize that, a vertical splitter or even a single way, 4-way, where you can kind of pick and choose how you're going to split, and the box wedge, kind of picks for you. A single knife, you're going to get far less trash. That's just the way of it. But you are going to get a fair amount of pieces that still have the bark on. And I guess that's my big contention is with the box wedge, the bark comes off in the splitting process. It doesn't come off in the customer's driveway. So I think it's better that it comes off here, and then I get far more barkless firewood. You guys are always talking about how that's a premium. All the other YouTube channels talk about that. That's all barkless, by and large. There's only a handful of pieces that have bark on. And most of it's in the pile, or it's on the ground, or it's in that pile over there. It's just, well, this is the maple we've been splitting. So this is kind of the output product. This last stuff up here in front, that was that bigger round, a little bit straighter, went through a lot cleaner. But you can see, I back up here a little bit. So here's the top. About halfway through that middle rung is where we started splitting some of that less desirable stuff. You can see down near the bottom here, all those are really well formed. That's perfect bundle grade. That's exactly what I want. I don't really want this. But this is all maple. It was all cut and relatively split at the same time. So that's why it's all going in a maple tote. The rest of this back here is ash, I do believe. But you can see there's not a lot of bark in here, guys. Most of it ended up on the ground. Same thing with that one. There's just a few pieces here and there that have bark on them, or half the bark. There's a little cluster down in here, I think, that's got some bark on it, but a lot of it's barkless. Or at least it's three-sided barkless. So I don't know. There's a lot of 2x4 wedge. There's a lot more 2x4 wedge. I just like this style, this size pieces for bundlewood. That's all it comes down to. There's my good old mulch pile going. More ash we got to cut up. I think we're going to get a visit. Very few of you guys are still watching this, but I think we're going to get a visit from Wolfe Ridge here one of these days. Haven't confirmed that yet, but I think that's going to be the game plan. So, kind of looking forward to that. But first we're going to head off to spring break. There's a good looking knot. We'll do it. There. That green is going sideways, left to right. Pretty nuts. Alright, let's back this ram up. We'll push it forward, grab that piece, probably get one more pass out of it. Well, that was fun. Not a lot of great wood out of that one, but yeah, we'll stack it up and see what we get. So. All right, folks, that's going to wrap up this episode. Hope you enjoyed that. If you got any questions, leave them down below. Like I said, we're still answering every comment that comes through. You got a good question, ask it. I'll make sure that I answer it, and hopefully if you respond back, we'll get a dialogue going. So yeah, I really enjoy you guys stopping by. Hope you enjoyed this one. Like I said, the Wolfe Ridge, it'll get through anything. It's just for me, for my process, for my bundle wood kind of business here, those double barrels, it really doesn't justify the extra time it takes to go through it, plus the extra waste that's created. I'd rather, and I need to do a better job of this, is kind of marketing these uglier pieces, maybe running them through the 4-way just to break them down into something more manageable, and then selling it for boiler wood around here. I think there's a handful of outdoor wood boilers. Sold a little bit of wood that way this winter. Also, there's a guy relatively local that's got a kind of a small maple syrup operation that he uses some firewood for, so that'd be another outlet to maybe sell to those types of folks. So, but anyhow, I'm gonna get in. Got to do some packing for spring break. We are heading to Florida next week, so I'll try and bring you guys along for maybe a boat ride or something like that. So we'll see. At least walking on the beach. So hope you guys have a great day, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.